Welcome to Langston Vibes on KBOB 89.9 FM.
Your go-to source for R&B hits and engaging talk shows.
We're broadcasting live from Tulsa, Oklahoma. We're here to keep you entertained and informed about Langston University, Oklahoma's only HBCU. So sit back and relax.
All right. Happy Friday and welcome back to another amazing episode of Langston Vibes on KBOB 89.9 FM and Facebook Live. I am your host for today's episode, Professor Milena Hasmanis, and I am so excited for us to dive in and welcome some incredible guests today who are no stranger to the show, but are going to be coming through with some incredible insights and resources. Before we have a chance to introduce our guests and have them on the air, I want to take some time to take a step back and highlight the importance of May. And we dove into this conversation last episode, but it's important for us to continue to keep this at the forefront. May is Mental Health Awareness Month, a national opportunity to increase understanding, reduce stigma, and highlight accessible supports for emotional well-being. This month, we're centering conversations on how mental health intersects with leadership, learning, and workplace culture, from preventing burnout to creating trauma-informed, inclusive spaces where learners and team members can thrive. And so as you continue to navigate this month, we encourage you to lean in, really check in with those that you love, and embrace and understand the various resources that we have in the Tulsa community and beyond. Last week, we dove into how regional partnerships and higher education supports connect to student success, and we explored how mental health and inclusive practices strengthen learning systems. We were incredibly honored to have both Alexis Sanders and Dr. Laura Latta from the Tulsa Higher Ed Consortium on the air, where their conversation grounded us in the broader theme for this week's episode, which is how leadership development, whether in education or entrepreneurship, gains momentum when we pair strategy with care. Today, we continue that thread by digging deeper into leadership development with one of our incredible guests, Nikki. And before we welcome her onto the air, as well as a few other guests, I want to, of course, plug in our news and notes. We are in full swing of the busy season here in Tulsa. And as always, although we highlight some incredible events that are happening, we encourage our listeners, please give us a call, share what's happening in the community, uplift all of the thoughtful work that's happening with our various community organizations so that our listeners can engage at 918-856-3873. We'd love to hear from you. But to put it on y'all's radar as we look ahead to the weekend, I'm sure many of us, if you've been in downtown Tulsa today especially, you are well aware of the annual Black Wall Street rally that is taking place. There are so many beautiful bikes out there, and it's been amazing to see the community come together. But for those who may not know, this year is the 5th annual Black Wall Street Rally, which is taking place throughout the weekend up until tomorrow, May 16th, in the historic Greenwood district of Tulsa. And so this national motorcycle-inspired event celebrates the legacy, and resilience of America's original Black Wall Street with the blend of bike culture, music, and history. And so you definitely want to stop by downtown between today and tomorrow, where they'll have live entertainment. They'll have a variety of motorcycle events, and you can check out these beautiful pieces. And most importantly, leaning into community and the culture of Greenwood and its district. So be sure to stop by, explore, and I hope to see some faces down there because it is surely something you don't want to miss. You may want to give yourself a few minutes to find parking, but again, it's something you do not want to miss for what is ahead this weekend. Another piece I wanted to plug that's happening this weekend is the Recovery Summit that's happening at the Lemley campus for Tulsa Tech. This is from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m., and this is an event that's led by the city of Tulsa. It'll have a plethora of community vendors and resource booths who are on site focused on well-being, right, which is well aligned with what May is encompassing. And so this event will have different partners centered around mental health, around supporting those who are navigating substance use and finding their path to sobriety, as well as other opportunities to maintain stability. And so, again, that's from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Lemley campus tomorrow. For Tulsa Tech, there will be lunch provided, and again, a ton of resources on site. But those are two major events I want to put on our listeners' radar as we look ahead for this weekend. And again, I would be remiss if I did not take the opportunity to celebrate. Again, last week we talked about how Saturday was the graduation for our Langston Lions. And so just want to give them a big congratulations once again as they walked across the stage last Saturday to earn their degrees and shift from students to alum to the incredible Langston University. So congratulations again, Lions, and those who are embracing and starting the May mini-mester for Langston. Best of luck, especially as those who are diving into their studies and continuing on. So again, for our listeners, we are encouraging you, please be sure to give us a call at 918-856-3873. If there's an event that you want to share, something happening within our community that you want to uplift, we'd love to hear from you. And before I welcome our guests, we have a caller. So let's go ahead and say hello. Hello, caller. Can you hear us okay? Okay, we'll give them a chance to give a call back in just a little bit, but I'll go ahead and segue to some of our guests today. And so with that, let me see, make sure they're all locked and ready to go. We'll give them just a minute. Oh, okay, yep, perfect, we can let them in. All righty. And for our listeners, as we're getting our guests on and having them have an opportunity to introduce themselves, we're so excited to continue the conversation around leadership mindset and how we can really foster that moving forward. And so, to our guests, can you all hear us okay before we dive into introductions today?
I can hear you.
Awesome. Okay, great. Nikki, can you hear me okay? Let's see. Is she in yet by chance? Okay, no, not a problem. Well, as Nikki gets settled, for our listeners, I know that you both were on the air with us in November, and we're so excited to have you both back on as we continue the conversation around leadership and then highlighting some of the pieces that are being worked on. And so before I had Nikki share a little bit more about this work, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself again for our listeners, share a little bit more about your background, and then we'll have Nikki do the same.
Okay, excellent. My name is Richard Mohon. I'm a former air traffic controller for the United States Space Force. I also have a background on finance and go-lucky kind of guy. I really wanted, before I got stuck today, I want to thank you for November. November, your staff, which was amazing, skillful, patient. As far as Dr. Kennedy did a great job, and you yourself, your skill, your professionalism, and the way you guided us through the interview, absolutely remarkable. We wanted to thank you on time. Now have the opportunity. So I want to give you.
Well, I appreciate that. That is so kind, and we're so appreciative to have you both back on the air so we can continue the conversation that I know we were diving into in November. And so, okay, not yet. No, that's okay. So as Nikki gets settled in and before she's able to come on, would love for us to really first start with the conversation around leadership and well-being, right? So we mentioned at the beginning of our our episode today, how May is Mental Health Awareness, and would love for us to share a little bit around well-being and how we protect that in the role of leadership. So can you share a little bit around what are some strategies or best steps that people who are in roles of leadership, which leadership's not a formal role, right? That can look in so many different ways. How can we protect our well-being as we're leading and creating? And what are some practical practices leaders can adopt to reduce burnout while supporting others?
This is an amazing question. I used to be a service officer in the military and in the American Legion here. So this is a great question. The first and foremost thing I would tell each and everybody that you have to give yourself time for yourself. We're in a world where everything's going at 1,000 miles per hour. Everything is required yesterday. And it's almost as I hate to use this analogy that we're like on a super fast hamster wheel.
Yeah.
You have to. It is mandatory that sometime during the course of you share it with you. And it has to be a moment that's consistent. Let's say, for instance, every day at 1:30, you're going to walk at a park for 15 minutes or 5 minutes. But that time is specific to you. And you have to respect it because at this point, at the super moment with AI and everything that's pushing us forward, it's almost like we don't have the chance to breathe. And I think one of the biggest problems with mental awareness is that we're losing our sense of self. And to me, that's the dangerous part of getting to a point where you no longer know how to address yourself or others. And now you become a hindrance to you and to other people. And then, of course, it accelerates to dangerous levels. But the most important thing is share time with you. Listen to your thoughts. Think about what you're thinking. Think about what you plan to do in the future. What does it look like? Visualize those kind of things. And then take a deep breath and enjoy where you are right now. Because everybody is trying to compare themselves to other people that may not be living the life that they're seeing. But that you're competing against a fat fallacy. So slow down and look at yourself and be happy where you are because you're still able to go further.
I really appreciate the guidance that you gave because it's so practical, right? And I feel like you elevated a very important point with, we are in a fast-paced world, especially with AI being added. I mean, gosh, you can really expedite so many projects, so many things are instantaneous. And I feel like on top of that, post-COVID, and this has stayed since the COVID era, we've seen an increase in just accessibility because of the virtual piece, whether it's multiple virtual meetings back to back to back, or it's, being more accessible via email, since I think a lot of that shift has happened. And so I think your notion of protecting your time, whether that is going for a walk or that is taking the time to do something to fill your cup so you're able to be present, I think is such an incredible piece of advice, because that is practical. If it is just, hey, I'm going to section off 30 minutes a day and I'm going to be intentional protecting that for myself, I think is excellent advice. So thank you for that. And hi, Nikki, how are you?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yes. Can you hear us okay?
Yes, wonderful.
Wonderful. Well, we were just, if you want to, I'll ask the question. I just began in a minute, but do you mind, I know in the last time we were here on the air, you had a great opportunity to share some of your background and your insights. So do you mind for our listeners just giving a brief introduction, and then I'll ask our mental health question, and we'll dive deeper into some other more specific questions for y'all today.
Okay, well, thank you. I'm excited about being with you during Mental Health Awareness Month. My background is I was a self-taught graphic design artist that I, over the course of 22 years, figured out how to turn that into a business. And now, especially in this information age where everything is getting digital, I had to make personal decisions about how will I continue what I was doing as a business, but also as an artist. And so, as we shared last time, I wrote books, Side Hustle, Blow Up, how to turn your hustle into a profitable business. And I want to see other people do this. So it's kind of my love story to myself. How do you nurture yourself? How do you stay ambitious? How do you deal with all the obstacles in the business world without burning out? And without letting go of your soul, and your value. So we get torn between we need money, want to follow our dreams, but don't quite have a blueprint for that. So this was that for me.
And I love that. And we are absolutely going to revisit just uplifting those pieces of work for our listeners. And I appreciate you framing that, because I think that is an incredible place to then segue to our question around mental health. And so, with May being Mental Health Awareness Month, Nikki, how do you protect your well-being while leading and creating? And what are some practical strategies that you would really encourage leaders to consider adopting that have been successful for you, or just more broadly to avoid things like burnout while supporting teams?
Well, I mean, to be very when we're honest, we know that mental health is a real thing. Mental health issues. We have friends, we have family members oftentimes say, "I'm not going to claim that. We don't want to put a name on it. It is what it is." So we have to identify that we are subject to. We're human, right? And even the toughest of us, we have our coping mechanisms. Often not always good. Sometimes self-destruct. A couple of things that I'm doing right now. I'm doing an artist way. I'm creative plus, but in that, if anyone listens ever use artist way, there's two tools that Julie Cameron suggests, which I think are crucial, which is one, daily journaling. And she suggests doing the journal in the morning. Whatever your morning is, even if your morning is afternoon, but doing that before you do anything else. This is a moment for yourself.
I love that. And I think that's another great example of just that non-negotiable time that you're keeping for yourself, and something that's practical.
Sorry. So the daily journaling is a part of it. There's another chapter that I wanted to point out.
Yes.
Says no empire is built alone. It's easy when we get depressed or we get in our head to isolate. And there are times we need to be alone. But understanding what is the community you're in. It could be very people that are around you that are blocking you, hurting you, or contributing to your own hurt yourself. So being mindful of who you're around, who you're talking to, why you're talking to them, and just using some discretion on who you're around, and taking that self-care. So again, with this journals and artists also just doing some things, doing fun things. So especially as you get older, we forget to take care of your child enough. So reconnect, as Carl Jung would say, reconnect with your shadow, but reconnect with your little child and ask your child, what do you want to do? And extend your commitments to them.
I love that. That's incredible advice, and definitely spaces that I think are important for us to elevate. And we're going to take some time to dive deeper to see what projects you both have been working on, especially since, Nikki, your work of Side Hustle Glow Up. And before I dive into that, I see Dr. Carnegie is on and would love to give her a minute to introduce herself. And then I'll ask you the same question, Dr. Carnegie, and then we can go right into some of these questions for work. So does that sound okay to you? And if you can't get it onto Dr. Carnegie, that's okay too.
Okay.
Hey, there we go. Hello. Happy Friday.
Thank you. So, my name is Dr. Carnegie. I am a adjunct professor in the School of Business, and I member national communication, business communication, and entrepreneurial studies. And I am an administrator for the East Coast. I have been a lecturer for almost 40 years. And I guess that's
wonderful. No, I think those are great pieces. And, we're starting with the question with May being Mental Health Awareness Month. How do you protect your well-being, Dr. Carnegie, when it comes to also not only protecting your well-being, but also balancing leading and creating? And what are some practical strategies that you would recommend to leaders to implement to reduce burnout while supporting their teams and goals?
Excuse me. So I'm actually in the process of writing a book called leadership weapon.
Mm.
And in the book, talk about some of the strategies that we over the years. And it's a toolkit, right? In terms of navigate, I would say learn to develop or create circle people that would be there and be acceptable to me when I need to vent or you know get their feedback on a particular situation. Maybe I not be. I may be looking too narrowly, and it's always good to have people that, whether they're professional or not, that they back. They just want to be authentic and truthful, and never really trying to tell you what to do, give you different insight so that you can take that back and reflect on and maybe it's your or maybe it's your approach. You're doing right what but it's a way for you to get look at that and have an objective need. Terms well, doing for yourself and not being about yourself during the day. Even if it's a matter of using breathing technique to get you through a stressful point, stressful meeting, dealing with a customer or employee, learning the basic breathing technique can really make a big difference in overall wellness. I don't know about most people, but when I stress, my blood pressure goes. And using breathing technique helps me to bring my blood pressure down. So that's one technique. There.
Excuse me.
I think it may have frozen for Dr. Carnegie. So let's see. Oh, okay, there we go.
That was one technique. Another technique could be having some type of physical activity beyond daily movement, whether it's job, home, something in doing 30, 45 days where you keep your body. Again, some of the things that you do, from walking, running, running, going by yourself, or having a buddy to hold you accountable, or wellness type of resource like cold therapy, red light therapy. There's all kinds of things that you can do for to keep you grounded, right? And keep you awake.
Wonderful. No, thank you for all of those, Dr. Carnegie. There's some awesome strategies to add to our tool belt, and I think our listeners definitely have a robust means of strategy to help support their mental health from all three of y'all. So I really appreciate us kicking off the conversation there. And, the last time we were on the air in November, Nikki, you were sharing about your book, Side Hustle Glow Up. And, I have a follow-up question that's more broadly geared for our listeners, but I would love for us to start there. And do you mind really just briefly recapping this piece for us? And, if there are any other exciting projects on the horizon, and then I'll ask my follow-up question.
Of course. So some of the chapters in the book, and I said, let me go over it. So
Yeah.
as I said, I believe that we're in the area of creative currency. I believe that we're all born with a certain amount of creativity. And if honed properly, we can live the lives that we want to live. Some of the barriers to that is how do we take things we enjoy and make it into something professional.
Mm-hmm.
So one thing that I had a hard time with is developing a portfolio. When people ask, what do you do? It's often hard or even shameful to share it when you don't feel that you're professional. So since I was self-taught, I had maybe an emotional block against presenting the work that I did as professional work. So the book again hopes to encourage you. If you have a hustle, if you have a hobby, how to use that as a profession, how to transition. And so going from finding what that is, framing what it is, and even creating an offer. So I want to challenge our listeners today is you have a service, you have a product. This week I want you to think about how do you offer it to people. Sometimes we think we only have one product. And you have different levels of buyers. But really taking the thing that you enjoy more seriously. And just to wrap that up, another thing that people have was a block with starting. So my coach, and I have a coach, and I think we all should have a coach. But he always says success loves speed. And what that means to me, and I know we're going to talk about further, faster. Success loves speed means that someone's going to reach the finish line.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't move, if you don't take action, it won't be you. So it's just to get people out of that intention of trying to be perfect and get to the point of getting it done.
Right.
We spend a lot of time talking about what we're going to do because we're afraid. So if you share those ideas with your friends, your family, they're going to say you're out of your mind. So instead, speak to your inner child or speak to your higher power. So that's the book.
I love
Project
that.
since then, as we talked about earlier, I started an Artist Way creative cluster.
Mm-hmm.
It's completely free. It's a hybrid program. I go to our local library and I have people that are there in person. And the remainder of my group is online. We're in week 4 right now, which is called Recovering a Sense of Integrity. And that integrity is people say keeping it real. The person you should keep it real with is yourself. So when you look at that child version of you in the eyes, and they're saying, well, you said when we turn 25, our life is going to be like this. Or we turn 40 or 50 or 60. Why is it not? So you haven't kept your promises to yourself. Or she gives an example. Oftentimes people say, how are you doing? And by social standards, we're trained to say, I'm okay. But the artist, the creative in us, the child in us, they're saying, I'm not okay. So again, as you asked me earlier, in relation to mental health, those morning pages or those journals are a great place to work it out.
Absolutely.
When this 12-week program completes, I'm inviting participants to join a collaboration project. So it may be a book, a next book.
I love that. Well, I guess it sounds like we'll stay tuned for that next piece then. I can't wait. And I know our listeners can't either. And that's incredible. And And, I have one other follow-up before we go into further, farther, faster. And then I'll kick it to Dr. Carnegie for us to review the Tap In podcast. But in your piece, you emphasize moving from hobby to business. And so for a listener with limited time and resources, what are some concrete steps that they can take this month to professionalize their creative work?
Well, first of all, get it out there. Be courageous enough to show it off. So, like, again, that child in us, if we've ever been stunted in our growth, we may be afraid. So if you have something, whether it's a song, a drawing, a story, a poem, I challenge you to put it out there on social media. That's hopefully will help break fear of sharing it. You are going to be subject to criticism. People will say they like it, they don't like it, but that's not why you're doing it. I recommend doing it just to get beyond your fears. So share something that you have publicly. Then the next step is start thinking about your portfolio. It might sound crazy. Be thinking I don't have enough work. But think about the life that you wanted to live. So what did the little child in you want to do? And another concrete thing is in that quiet time when you're journaling, write out the plans as if it's possible. So if you don't write it down, you won't do it. But something about investing in that time of writing it down, even if it's just scribbling it, even if you're drawing it, there's an investment that happens when you put in action to a thought. So something as simple as writing. Otherwise, it's going to keep jumping around your head, and it's going to say, I wish I could. And the censoring you is going to knock it down. It says, stop being silly. You can't do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can do anything you put your mind to.
Yes, you can. You're absolutely right.
And we say that, but we know that we have blocks, and that's the part nobody wants to talk about.
Right.
So I definitely want us to live that. And how do we do it? And so that's what I'm personally just trying to take a real look at. How do we get beyond saying, I know I can, to doing it?
Right.
Like being honest with yourself.
And another thing, I think sometimes we have unrealistic expectations. So another reason people don't do, so there's another practical, is because we're expecting to get paid for it immediately. Rich Dad, Poor Dad recommend you got to work for free at first. And especially for older people, we might say, well, I don't have time to be working for free. But that's how I started. I started offering people, hey, can I do your CD cover? Hey, can I do your book cover? And after a while, people started coming to me saying, hey, can you do my CD cover? Can you do our magazine? Can you do our campaign? So the biggest thing you need to do is make it fun. Make it something that you're willing and want to do every single day. Something that you're willing to get up and do every day. If that excuse, I'm too busy, then obviously you don't want it bad enough.
There you go.
That's deep.
There you go. No, I appreciate that, Nikki. I think those are some really practical steps and a great way to just put your foot forward in that goal. And so when it comes to the further, farther, faster mantra, it is a very compelling space and I think captures some great strategy. Could you unpack how someone sets realistic milestones within that framework versus really maintaining that momentum and not perpetuating burnout?
I love being realistic. So further, faster is a mantra for myself. For one, I'm by nature a very emotional person, and that can be problematic, especially sometimes when it comes to business. So further is not like far. Further is something intangible, emotional. So sometimes if someone criticizes me or if someone criticizes you, remind yourself to go further. Don't get stuck in what they're saying. Don't get even stuck in what your mind is telling you. I know they didn't do that to me. Make your energy like water and go further than the moment. right? Go around them, go beneath them, go over them. But further just means when you know you have a block, you know you're afraid to post that artwork on Facebook. Remind yourself to go further. So further is just that cheering yourself on. The part that no one else can do. It's just between you and God. Go further. So the farther is obviously a tangible or that push that we need, right? Sometimes we're okay to go right here, but not out there,
Right.
Not all the way. And so this may also kind of correlate to what some people will call faith. But okay, you got one book, but you love to write. Write another book.
There you go.
Right? Do another one. Go farther. Because when we push ourselves farther, even if we fall short, like when you're working out, you have to push the muscle further than it wants. So get out of our comfort zone. And again, I don't take well to other people telling me what to do. But I have to tell myself, go farther. Don't give up right there. Don't just do one rep. Go farther.
Right.
And so the faster connects to what I said earlier, like success loves speed. For me, and I advise the listeners, if you know it's something you have a fear, sometimes the best way to address that is just jumping in. Stop thinking. Stop talking. Just do it.
Right.
Just do it. And so success loves speed. So when I remember that, or I remember the farther. So the farther is not, I mean, the faster part is not about going crazy. It's not about burnout. It just means be obedient to the voice of righteousness faster. So you know, I don't know, it's a little angel over here, devil over here. And the angel is saying, do it. This is for you. You know it's for you. It's good, it's wholesome, it's everything right. You're just afraid. Find a way to act immediately. And if you, so I had told myself, Nick, you tried everything wrong. Why not take a risk on the things that are right? So when I hear the voice that's right, I remind myself, act immediately. So that's the faster.
I love that. I think those are excellent pieces when really being realistic in those next steps. And so I appreciate you unpacking that. And to our listeners, as you are hearing some of the guidance around what's being pulled from Nikki's piece, Side Hustle Glow Up, as well as her mantra of further, farther, faster, we'd love to hear from you. What's one concrete goal for your side hustle that you want to evolve in 2026? Give us a call or drop it in on Facebook Live. You can call us at 918-856-3873. And now I'll go ahead and turn it to Dr. Carnegie for our first question regarding the Tap In podcast.
Hearing about your book, Side Hustle Glow Up, and I have a follow-up question.
Let's see. Dr. Carnegie, can you hear us okay?
I can.
Okay. All right, the floor is yours.
Okay. So my understanding of tapping is that the space for leaders, creative, visionary, connect, grow, be supported in your way. It's not just about netting off the it's helping people tap into who they are, what they're called to do, and how they live and create healthy space. A lot of leaders, and I'm one, continue constant support in others. This is an opportunity to have that same brain to themselves. It brings conversation about leadership, wellness, activity, purpose, and personal growth, all in one place. And what makes it neat is that it supports the whole person, not just title, business, or the brand. It's a community where people can reflect, recharge, collaborate, and lead with practical insight and inspiration that they apply to their lives. So that's my response to that.
Dr. Carnegie, do you have the question that we could go ahead and ask Nikki and Richard for this? Or if you want me to dive in, I can.
Yeah. So the next question for them would be, on it. Okay. So the next question would be, I don't see.
Here, I'll go ahead and dive in. Dr. Carnegie, and if you want to go to segment 2 in the script, it's listed there. But for our awesome guest, could you start just by unpacking for our listeners when it comes to Tap In, what unique role does this podcast play in supporting leaders and creatives? And what are some of those concepts or key topics y'all have covered in your podcast in the past?
Well, one thing we normally open up with a book. Rich and I have been very good friends for a long time, and I believe challenge each other, try to build each other, and oftentimes it's being built on the wisdom or support of people who already gone where we're going, and the people that we have on appear to be similar. They're everyday people. They have jobs, but they also are creatives. They're business owners, and they want more. And so we're having a conversation, an ongoing conversation, and also building a community of people who hold each other accountable. So it's easy to size when you have a role in the community. So when I have to show up Friday, it's very important to me. I don't care if I'm in the car. I don't care where I am. It's important for me to show up because I need people to show up for me like that.
Right.
So we talk. We would discuss. We had discussions on Rich Dad, Poor Dad, The Richest Man in Babylon, The Greatest Salesman in the World, and what these books tend to have in common is very practical tips to apply to your everyday living. And we started off with the theme of micro learning or micro reading instead of the old school way of trying to read the whole book.
Right.
By the time you finish, you forgot everything you read in the whole book. So taking it kind of bit by bit, take a bit and apply it. Take a bit and apply it. So this week, if I don't know if you can hear or you still got that echo, but we're talking about Never Split the Difference by Chris Ross. Negotiating your life depended on it. And he talks about everything from terrorist situations to how to buy a car at the price that you want. So negotiating is one of those really important skills in business that a lot of people don't get a chance to develop. We think we know how to negotiate until we don't win.
Right.
And then we're mad at the other party because we know they got the best of us. So whether it's you trying to get a job, you start on a new contract, you need to be able to use your psychological skills and your listening skills to go in there and get what you came for. And that's why it's called Never Split the Difference. Because you don't want to give up. You don't anything. You don't want to compromise anything. You want to go in there and get what you came for.
Right. Absolutely. You know what? I'd love to continue on with that too.
It seems like there's a question in it.
Oh, okay. What's the question?
So we have a viewer that asked the doctor on the stream, my weight is increasing. What things should I avoid and what should I eat?
We can maybe circle back on that.
Okay. I gave him an answer, though.
Oh, okay, great.
I said, well, eating healthier can attribute to better gut and weight health. You should incorporate some workouts like mountain climbers, planks, knee raises, V-ups, static leg holds that are like targets your lower abs and your upper abs.
Well, great. No, I think that's helpful guidance, and physical health is very important to leadership development too. So I appreciate you following up with them.
Yes, ma'am.
And, when it comes to engagement that you all have with your Tap In podcast, Nikki and Rich, are there any pieces from real-time audience engagement that have helped to shape the content and outcomes of Tap In? And what have you learned from some of your listener contributions?
Yeah, we've gotten into
that extend
conversations
to
that extend to
relationships.
relationships.
Like I said, I try to keep in mind that I am a leader.
Right.
But leaders have to be human. That I belong
And
to.
leaders
Like
have
while
to
you're
be
managing
human
business
too.
too,
And
and
Right.
home life. While you're managing business, you're managing home life.
Our listeners,
Relationships important. So I've
they've
noticed
gotten into
our
debates with
listeners.
each other in the
Sometimes
chat.
they've gotten into
And
debates with
Rich
each
always
other in the
tells this
chat,
joke,
and
Rich
they
always
seem to
tells this
respond
joke,
very well to
and
that. So
they seem to
after all
respond
the
very well to
business,
that. So
Yeah.
after
still
all the
some
business,
human, there's still
core
some
that's
human
important. What's the
core
point in
that's
all that
important.
business?
What's
And all
Yeah.
that
point in
money
all that business and all that
if
money
you don't have
if
the
you don't have
relationship you
the
want,
relationship you
or
want,
you're trying to
or you're
emulate what's
trying
on
to
TV? So
emulate
I
what's on
remember there
TV.
was
So I
one
remember there
time
was
we had a
one
couple
time
of
we
guests.
had a
They were
couple of guests.
debating
They were debating
about
about
I don't know who was better, Beyonce
or
or
Rihanna, right?
Yeah.
with their
With their
relationships.
relationships.
And how did that come out? But it's quite
quite
enjoyable, I
I
think,
think,
because we get to be human.
Yeah.
And these are important to us. Like I said, back to the
the
wellness of the
of the
mind.
mind.
We are all trying to be whole. And maybe as your caller asked, even about physical health.
Mm-hmm.
Our physical health is definitely connected to our mental health. I know Dr.
Absolutely.
Barnett can speak on that far better than I can. But we do know that what we consume and that's another thing I think that drives the conversation between Rich and I, and I'll let him tap in if he likes. But what are we feeding people? What are we
Yeah.
talking about? So we every week when we get off, we review what we're talking about. We review what the guests are talking about. And we want to make sure that we stay accountable, but also have fun.
Yes.
No fun if it's not fun.
I love that. I love that. Authenticity. Rich, did you want to tap in and give any other additional insights before we transition to just broader leadership questions before we close out today?
Nikki and I being both leaders and also loving to do business, it allows us to have a broader scope on exactly how we want to express ourselves to our fans, our spectators, and also the people that we're now calling family. And what I've noticed since we've been doing this now, we're going on our eighth month, I think, seventh or eighth month, is that as you become more comfortable with the authenticity that you're presenting your information and the lack of fear that we have in exposing ourselves to our tribe, with our vibe, that we have opportunity now to hear them give us feedback in such a manner of what's going on in their life, what they would rather hear from us. Yes, I do get the request for more than jokes now than before, and that's a cool thing. But what we really want to do is continue to lead people to a path where they can take tangible steps to be successful. Yes, lead it further, faster. That is the mantra of our tap-in. But the reality is, like Nikki mentioned so clearly earlier, you got to take the first step first.
Right.
And as long as we continue in this fashion, I think we're going to have a great time.
I love that. Excellent insights. Absolutely. Just take that first step. That whole saying of how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. Put one foot in front of the other. And I think that is such an underrated piece of advice, right? And so I really appreciate you both elevating that, because that is truly what allows for us to move that needle forward. And I think that's very reassuring for listeners to hear as they're navigating those pieces. And so would love to hear from both of y'all as we close out the episode today. We had mentioned this at the beginning of just this feeling sometimes people may feel of just feeling behind, right? Of just getting started and just not knowing where to begin. And when we reframe this, are there any tips or ways that we can embed small, intentional strategies, either daily, weekly, to help shift identity from behind to on track as people are moving forward. So y'all have any strategies to really help with that mindset reframing?
I do. Listen, the mindset reframing is again remove yourself from mainstream thinking. Most people are average and they get average results. If you want to step out of that line, you're going to have to reboot, restart. And how do you do that? So you're going to have to do something major. So as I talked about journaling, okay, that's one thing.
Yeah.
But I did talk about doing things bit by bit. And I did talk about having fun. And I'm completely convinced right now, if you don't have fun doing it, you won't do it. So even if you just this week write a list of 5 things that I would do if I was sillier. 5 silly things I want to do. Don't think about it. Just free associate. Write 5 silly things. I wrote like hula hooping, belly dancing. You know,
I love that.
it's okay to be silly. And so again, our society, our family, your friends are going to try to keep you accountable to being so serious. And that is where oftentimes the block is, our fear. And I know most of us won't admit it, but we have fear to do the things that would make us great. So the one big block. When we were children, we never thought we couldn't do those things that we dreamed.
Right.
We really believe we could be a rapper on stage. Right? We really believe I could be a great painter. So whatever you have to do to get back to the mental health. Our society could be what keeps us mentally ill. Because we are trying to keep up with the mentally ill order of things. So to get back to the natural place, trust yourself. Be honest with yourself. Have integrity with yourself. And go back and talk to that child you before someone told you couldn't do it. Do it tonight. Do it when you pray. Talk to the child in you. I went to mine and I said, I apologize. I forgot all about you. I forgot what you wanted. I forgot who we were destined to be. And I started listening to other people. So it sounds a little bit esoteric, but this is very concrete, I believe. Write 5 silly things you want to do. And do one of them.
I love that.
By next week, Friday. And then come on my page and tell me if it worked or not.
Yeah. I love the hula hoop one. I haven't done that in forever, so I appreciate you flagging that. I don't know if I'll show anyone that in the process, but that will definitely be something I will try.
I would add something a little bit on the other side of the equation.
Yes.
What I would do, and this is what makes our relationship with Ricky happen works from most of our sisters. That's first and foremost. But they're scared of what they don't know. And even if you go back to the beginning of individuals becoming more successful in their lives, you have to start doing things, I believe, to get you over that fear. Number one, you have to be willing to put yourself in the space. That's one again. Now, I'm not going to be belly dancing, but I want to belly dance. But if I wanted to be a finance major, I would go someplace like finance being conducted as a business. If I wanted to be a sports star, I would go watch sports. If I wanted to be a cleaner, I would take art classes. But you have to start someplace when you feel comfortable enough that you're not going to start comparing yourself to other people.
Right.
The reason why most people do not proceed forward in their lives is they spend too much time comparing themselves to what is already great. And then they tell themselves that they can't be great. So they've already sabotaged themselves in the process of moving forward. So what you have to do is take baby steps. You want to buy real estate, read a book on writing, and then do one thing, like you said earlier, take in the micro learning, do one thing that the book says, and see how does that feel.
There you go.
So busy worrying about the outcome, we don't realize that it's the feeling aspect of us that continues us to move forward. And if you feel good in the process of what you're doing, that's the direction you follow.
I love that, Rich. That's excellent feedback too, and definitely couldn't agree more. Comparison can be such a thief in so many capacities, and really appreciate some of those actual steps that you and Nikki both highlighted as we're looking ahead. And so, as we get to the tail end of our episode, I'll go ahead and have us transition to our final piece before we close out today, and I'll ask one of the questions, and then we'll have Dr. Carnegie ask the second one. And it's surrounding leadership and leadership tips for the week. And so, Nikki and Rich, could you, as we close out today, can you share one leadership principle you want every listener to remember? One key leadership principle, whether it's inspired you, something that you like to pour into others, something that just really resonates within your journey. What is that leadership principle that our listeners should really walk away with today?
I would say my principle would be integrity again. As I'm learning to be true to myself, I don't have to try as hard. I don't have to fake the funk.
Right.
I'm a leader. Life and God made it that way. But I think early on, I had preconceived notions about how I should dress, how I should talk, how I walk in the room. And now I can let my hair down and know that I am where I need to be, and I'm here to do a duty. And a leader takes people somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So I try to stay conscious of where can I take them. Am I doing it successfully? And take focus on other people's success or lack thereof. I'm not a manager.
Right.
I'm a leader. So if I live with integrity, I can lead others to that same place.
I love that.
And what I would add to that is what I would add to that is service.
Okay.
If you wake up in the morning, you have an opportunity and also a responsibility to serve. And in the process of serving, no matter what that may be, it's not limited to just being at a food drive or a clothes drive. It could be just having a conversation with a young teenager that might be in trouble. They might be someone to a home and reading a book to people that have no one visiting. You see, the reality is this: as long as you can open your eyes, that means you're finished your purpose. And a lot of times we take the fact that we can wake up in the morning for granted, and then we go throughout the day, and we're working for people, but we're not providing service. Work is labor. Service is when you're doing something out of your heart to move the human race forward. So I think that if we spend more time focusing on service as opposed to just the drudgery of work, we can then become more successful.
Well said. Well said. Integrity and service. Those are wonderful principles. And I'll go ahead and turn it to Dr. Carnegie for our final question, and we'll let y'all have some final pieces before we close out today. So, Dr. Carnegie, do you have a question for the leadership tip of the week?
Invest in others. What one specific act can someone take this week to invest in their life? Global.
What's one specific action that someone can take this week to glow up?
To invest in their glow up, yes.
To invest in their glow up. I like the advice that was given earlier. Exercise is something that we do over and over. We train in our body, we train our mind. It requires repetition. It requires discipline. It's gonna make your skin glow.
There you go.
It's gonna make your heart glow.
Yep.
And when people see and notice, I mean, it's a whole glow. So I would recommend do a little exercise, even if it starts with the wall.
Wonderful. That's great feedback and great advice. What about you, Rich? Do you have any pieces people invest in their glow up for the next week?
The first investment made, I believe, is always to buy books. Buy books and things are going to go in. And it doesn't necessarily have to be the same, but if you're business or economics or health or eating or farming, whatever you're going to do, let's love books. And written on every subject on the earth as you start and learning has been much more for you and then follow and already with by using your knowledge, adding your twist to it.
Wonderful. I love that. I really appreciate the investment that you all have had in terms of providing these key insights to our listeners. And before I tell them goodbye, I know Nikki and Rich, you both have highlighted the Tap In podcast and some other pieces. So what is the best way for our listeners to stay tuned or get connected with the Tap In podcast, or anything that our listeners should really walk away with in terms of just highlighting y'all's organizations before we tell everyone a happy Friday and a happy weekend ahead?
Well, thank you. We're about to tap in right now on Facebook. So
There we go.
Go to my Facebook page, Nikki Styles Baker, and we'll be live momentarily. I'm also Nikki Styles Baker on Instagram. We have a BX Next YouTube page, and my webpage is superflyers.biz. And you're going to see that off that's seeking the light everywhere.
Yes.
So that's when you know you're there. And so tap in, at least once, talk with us.
Yes.
And if you follow me, I'll follow you. And you can hear more from Rich and me having fun.
Excellent. No, I love that. And so listeners, be sure to tap in, check out the Tap In podcast and look up Nikki's page to be sure to connect. And Nikki, Rich, Dr. Carnegie, cannot thank you all enough for coming back on the air. We're so appreciative, Nikki and Rich, to continue to learn from y'all's leadership insights. I know our listeners were able to walk away with incredible insights, tools, and strategies. And to our listeners, we thank you again for tuning in for another episode of Langston Vibes on KBOB 89.9 FM. Be sure to check out the recording on KBOB 89.9's Facebook page and share it with others so we can continue to uplift this incredible work. And until next Friday for another episode, we wish y'all a wonderful weekend and week, and we will see y'all next time. L's up and have a great weekend.
That wraps up another fantastic show of Langston University's Langston Vibes on KBOB 89.9.
Thank you for tuning in and spending your time with us.
Thank you, Dr. Hosmanis. Thank you, Dr. Carnegie. And that deep voice man in the background.
Thank you, one and all.
Thank you, Rich.
And the good vibes. Thank you for coming on KBOB 89.9 FM.
Okay, see you later.
See y'all soon. Take care.
Thank you.